Imagine this. You're sitting at a candlelit table in a fancy restaurant, the kind with white tablecloths and waiters who whisper like ghosts. Your daughter's across from you, smiling nervously, while her husband, your son-in-law, sits there with his parents, their eyes like daggers, slicing right through you. You've just lost your husband, the love of your life, to a battle he fought like a warrior. And now, as the appetizers arrive, your phone buzzes in your pocket. A text from an unknown number. Leave now. Don't say anything to your daughter. Your heart slams against your ribs. A cold sweat prickling your neck. Who sent this? Why? But you don't leave. No. You stay because deep down, you know this is the moment everything changes. They think they've cornered you, accused you of ruining your family, of letting Samuel die because you couldn't keep up financially. They demand you vanish from your grandkids' lives, hand over control to their stable wealth. What they don't know. This restaurant? It's mine. The building? Mine. The empire worth $58 million that I clawed from nothing? All mine. And Samuel's final words? They're about to bury them alive. Stick around because in the next 10 minutes of pure chaos, justice isn't just served. It's plated with a side of humiliation. They'll never forget. If you've ever felt that gut-wrenching sting of being underestimated, betrayed by the people who should have your back, or just plain invisible when you needed to be seen most, hit that like button right now. Subscribe and ring the bell, because this story, it's the emotional roller coaster of revenge you've been craving. Let's dive in. All right, let's rewind this story, because to really feel the weight of what happened that night, you need to know the woman at the center of it all. My name's Tamara Wilson, 58 years old, give or take the lines etched around my eyes, from too many sleepless nights, staring at blueprints and balance sheets. I'm a widow now, but oh, was I ever married to the firecracker that was Samuel Picture, me back in the 80s, a scrawny girl from a Rust Belt town in Ohio, where the steel mills coughed out their last breaths, and dreams went to die in the unemployment lines. Mom was a welder who drank more than she worked. Dad scrubbed floors till his hands cracked like old leather. Me? I was the fool who thought a community college business course could be my ticket out. Tamara, you're chasing shadows, Mom would slur, her breath like sour mash whiskey, slapping a meaty hand on the kitchen table that wobbled under the weight of unpaid bills. But shadows? Hell, I built a castle from them. Started with a beat-up food truck, slinging burgers at construction sites, greasy patties sizzling on a grill that nearly singed my eyebrows off every shift, the smell of onions caramelizing in the summer heat, sweat dripping down my back as I hustled for tips from guys in hard hats who eyed me like I was just another drifter. $1 here, $5 there. Nights I'd collapse on a cot in the truck's back. The hum of the city a lullaby, dreaming of something bigger, something stable, something that said Tamara Wilson ain't nothing. That's when I met Samuel. God, he was a vision. 25, with dark hair that caught the sun like polished oak, and eyes brown as the rich earth his grandparents tilled before the factories called. He was waitering at a diner across from my truck spot, flipping eggs with a sass that could crack a smile on a stone. First time I saw him, he spilled coffee on a customer's lap. Accidentally. He swore, and instead of yelling, the guy laughed. Laughed because Samuel turned it into a joke, batting those lashes and saying, "Ma'am, that's my special brew, hot and full of regret." Refills on me. I was hooked. Walked over after my lunch rush, heart pounding like a jackhammer, and stammered, You, handle spills like a pro. Ever thought of partnering with a girl who makes messes worth cleaning up? Smooth, right? He rolled his eyes, but there was a spark, a real one. We talked for hours that night, closing down the diner. He told me about his folks, solid, church-going types from the suburbs, who wanted him married to a lawyer or a doctor, not some grease monkey with calluses thicker than her wallet. Our first date? A picnic in the park, me packing sandwiches from truck scraps, him bringing a blanket that smelled like sandalwood soap. We lay there under a sky bruised purple by dusk, his head on my chest, and I whispered dreams I barely believed. A chain of restaurants, a name that meant something. He traced circles on my shirt with his finger, the fabric damp from nerves, and said, "Tamara, if you build it, I'll eat there every day. Hell, I'll invest my tips if you let me." That was Samuel. Fierce, loyal, the kind of man who saw potential in the dirt under your nails. We married 6 months later in a backyard ceremony. Him in a thrift store suit that hugged him like it was made for him. Me in a rented dress that pinched at the waist. Vows exchanged under a willow tree drooping like it was weeping joy. In sickness and health, he said. squeezing my hand so tight his knuckles whitened. "And in whatever empire you drag me, into." Laughter rippled through the handful of guests, his parents looking stiff as starched collars, mine not even showing. But in that moment, with the summer breeze rustling leaves like applause, I felt invincible. The empire? It didn't come easy. First restaurant opened in '92, a hole-in-the-wall Italian joint called Wilson's Hearth, named for the fire Samuel said burned in me. We poured every dime into it, his waitering savings, my truck profits, even pawned his grandfather's watch once when the plumber jacked the bill. Opening night, the oven caught fire, literal flames licking the ceiling, smoke billowing like a dragon's breath. I grabbed the extinguisher, foam spraying everywhere, coating Samuel's apron in white globs. He stood there coughing, aftershave running in black rivers down his cheeks, and burst out laughing. "Well, Tamara, if this is success, sign me up for the sequel." Customers trickled in, then poured. Word spread about the pasta that clung to forks like a lover's embrace, the garlic bread crisp-edged and buttery soft inside. Samuel ran the front, charming tables with stories that made strangers feel like family. I'd sweat in the back, chopping onions till my eyes burned. The knife's rhythmic thunk a metronome to my ambitions. By '95, we had 3 locations. Debts mounted like snowdrifts, but so did the wins. A food critic called it soul food for the city weary. Investors sniffed around, but I turned them down. "This is ours," I'd tell Samuel over late-night glasses of cheap Chianti, his feet in my lap, toes curling against my thigh, no suits diluting the sauce. Then came the daughter, our miracle. After years of doctor's visits and Samuel's quiet tears in the shower, water masking the salt on his face, Michelle arrived in '98, screaming into a world that already felt too big for us. 7 pounds, 9 ounces, with Samuel's brown eyes and my stubborn chin. Holding her that first time in the hospital room, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry hornets, I felt my chest crack open. A warmth spread, foreign and fierce, like sunlight-piercing storm clouds. Samuel, pale and exhausted, hair matted to his forehead, looked up at me and whispered, "She's got your fight, Tamara." And my heart. We named her Michelle, after my mother, hoping it'd soften the old woman's edges. Life blurred into a beautiful chaos. Michelle toddling through the kitchens, chubby hands grabbing at steam rising from pots, giggling as sauce splattered her cheeks. Samuel teaching her to roll dough, his laughter a melody over the din of clanging pans. Me building, always building. By 2005, Wilson's Hearth was a chain of 12, sprawling across 3 states. Forbes whispered self-made wonder, but the nights were hell. Audits that left me hollow-eyed. Suppliers squeezing for payments. Competitors poaching recipes like thieves in the night. That's when the cracks showed in Samuel. A cough at first, dismissed as allergies from flour dust, then fatigue, deep-boned, that glued him to the bed some mornings. "Just a bug," he'd insist, forcing a smile over breakfast. His fork scraping the plate with less enthusiasm. But I saw it, the pallor under his stubble, the way his hand trembled pouring coffee, steam curling up like question marks. Doctors poked and prodded, tests, scans, that sterile hum of machines that makes your stomach twist. Stage 3 lung cancer. The words landed like a gut punch, knocking the air from my lungs in Dr. Ellis's office, posters of smiling patients mocking us from the walls. Samuel fought like a lion. Chemo sessions where he'd grip my hand till his nails drew blood, the chemical tang in the air mixing with his cologne. "Tamara, don't you dare pity me," he'd snap, chin lifted, even as nausea bent him double over the toilet later, retching till his throat rawed. I'd hold his head steady, murmuring nonsense about new menu ideas, anything to drown the beeps of monitors. Michelle, just 10, drew pictures of daddy superhero with capes and swords, taping them to his IV stand. Family rallied, his parents, Herbert and Barbara, flying in from their gated Florida condo, bringing casseroles that sat uneaten in the fridge. But money? It became the monster under the bed. Treatments weren't cheap. Experimental drugs. Specialists in white coats who quoted figures like they were casual chit-chat. $20K a pop, insurance balking at every claim. I expanded the chain aggressively. 2 new spots in high-rent districts. Loans stacked like Jenga blocks. Nights, I'd pace the living room, carpet muffling my footsteps, staring at spreadsheets on my laptop screen, numbers blurring through unshed tears. Samuel would find me there, wrapped in a blanket despite the summer heat, and slide beside me. "We're Wilson tough," he'd say, his voice a rasp, kissing my temple. Empire or not, we've got each other. The empire held barely. By 2010, we'd stabilized. 20 locations. A brand synonymous with comfort food that wrapped you like a hug. Herbert and Barbara softened toward me, or so I thought. "You've done all right, daughter." Herbert would grunt over Thanksgiving turkey, his jowls quivering as he carved fork-scraping bone. Barbara, with her pearls clutched like a talisman, would nod. "Samuel's glow says it all." But underneath, whispers. I caught them once in the kitchen after a holiday dinner, voices low like conspirators. If Tamara hadn't overextended, maybe he'd have better care. The clink of wine glasses, punctuating their judgment, sharp as shards. Samuel beat it. Remission in 12. A party at the flagship restaurant where we danced under string lights, his shirt swirling like flames, Michelle's arms around our legs. "To second chances," he toasted, glass raised, eyes shining brighter than the chandeliers. "But cancer's a sneaky bastard." Returned in 18, stage 4, aggressive as a wildfire. This time no remission. Just time. Doctors murmuring months. Their clipboards barriers between us those months. Agony wrapped in love. Samuel wasting away, skin translucent over bones. But his spirit, unbreakable. We'd sit on the porch swing, creaking under our weight. Watching Michelle, now 20, home from college, toss a ball with the dog. "Promise me, Tamara," he'd say one evening. Sunset bleeding orange across the sky. His hand frail in mine, veins like blue rivers under paper skin. "Don't let the bastards grind you down. The business, the kids, fight for it. And Michelle, she's got a good heart, but she's soft. Guide her." I'd nod, throat tight. The swing's chains groaning like my resolve. He planned everything. Meticulous, even in pain. A will drawn up in our bedroom. Lawyer perched on the edge of the quilt, papers rustling like dry leaves. "The restaurant stay in the family," he instructed. Voice steady despite the morphine drip's haze. "But Tamara, you hold the reins. And if anyone tries to push you out, especially family, invoke the legacy clause. Make 'em remember who built this." His eyes locked on mine. Fierce. "I love you. More than the stars know." Samuel passed on a crisp October morning in 19, rain pattering the window like impatient fingers. I held him till the end, his last breath a sigh against my chest, warm and final. The room smelled of lilies, funeral flowers already, Barbara insisted, and antiseptic, a cocktail that choked me. Michelle sobbed in the hallway, fists clenched, while Herbert patted my back awkwardly. He was a fighter, Tamara, like his father. But Barbara? Her lips pursed, eyes flicking to the medical bills, stacked on the dresser like accusations funeral was a blur. Black dresses, condolences murmured under umbrellas, the casket gleaming under gray skies. I stood there in the cemetery, mud sucking at my heels, feeling hollowed out. A tree root tripped me later, sprawling me in the grass, rain soaking through. Michelle helped me up, her grip strong but her eyes haunted. "Mom, what now?" That question echoed, a void. The empire? It teetered. Grief's a thief, stealing focus. Orders dropped, reviews soured. "Service lacks heart," one said, stinging like salt in wounds. I poured myself into work, but shadows lingered. Enter Eric. Michelle met him at university. A poli-sci major with a trust fund glow, sandy hair in perfect waves, smile that could disarm a room. Son of Herbert and Barbara's social circle. Old money from real estate flips and country club handshakes. They married in 22, a lavish affair at their Florida estate. Palm trees swaying like guests, me footing half the bill out of numb obligation. Eric was charming at first. "Tamara, your stories are legendary," he'd say over wedding cake. Fork poised midair, eyes wide with what I thought was admiration. But grandkids changed everything. Lily first. In 23, a pink swaddled bundle with Eric's dimples and Michelle's nose. I held her in the hospital, tiny fingers curling around mine, a fierce protectiveness surging. "Grandma's got you," I whispered, rocking her under beeping monitors, the scent of baby powder cutting through bleach. Then came Ethan, a year later, chubby-cheeked and bellowing, his cries echoing Samuel's laugh. Joy, pure. I'd drive hours to their suburban McMansion, arms loaded with toys and takeout from the hearth. Babysitting nights. Lily's giggles as I bounced her on my knee. Ethan's drool on my blouse during story time. Pages turning with exaggerated voices. And the dragon? He wasn't mean, just misunderstood, I'd rumble. Their eyes round as saucers. But Eric's parents, Herbert and Barbara, circled. Like vultures, visits turned tense. Herbert, paunchier now, scotch in hand, would corner Michelle in the den. Daughter, tomorrow's empire's flashy but unstable. Remember Samuel's bills? We could set up a trust, proper management. I'd overhear from the kitchen, dish towel twisted in my fists, knuckles whitening, the faucet drip a countdown to explosion. Barbara was subtler, poison in pearls. Tamara, dear, you're so hands-on with the little ones, but perhaps less is more. We wouldn't want instability influencing them. Her words landed soft, but they burrowed, festering. Eric echoed it, at first hesitant, then bolder. Michelle, your mom's great, but the kids need consistency, not fluctuations. Fluctuations. That's what they called my life's blood. The accusations built slow, a drip-drip erosion. Missed birthdays. Grandma's too busy with that restaurant. Chaos. Holidays, where I'd arrived to find them. Indisposed. Then the text from Eric. Sorry, Tamara, flu season. Rain check, but social media. Pictures of Lily's first steps with Nana and Pop beaming. Me cropped out. The gut punch came 6 months ago. Michelle called. Voice strained over speakerphone as I chopped garlic in the kitchen flagship. Knife's edge flashing under fluorescence. Mom, Eric's folks think, well, they suggested we limit visits. For the kids' sake. After Samuel, the stress. Stress. As if my grief was a contagion. I froze, blade hovering, the sharp tang of garlic burning my eyes. Or was it tears? Michelle, honey, that's not... But she cut in. Apologetic rush. It's not you, Mom, just their concern. You're doing amazing with the business, but it's a lot. A lot. The word echoed, a hollow gong. I hung up, phone clattering to the counter, and sank to the floor, back against cabinets. The cool tile seeping through my jeans, powerless. That's what it felt like. Fists clenched around air, chest tight as if iron bands cinched it. Betrayed by blood. Dismissed by the man who vowed to love my daughter. Underestimated again, like that girl with the food truck. Shadows laughing, but I didn't crumble. Samuel's words burned. Fight. For it. I doubled down, expanded. To 25 locations. Net worth cresting 58 million. Silent empire building. Ledgers balancing like vindication. Still the isolation gnawed. Nights alone in the big house. Echoing with ghosts. Samuel's laughter in the hall. Michelle's old room a shrine of trophies. The dinner? It was supposed to mend fences. Michelle's idea. Neutral ground. The flagship hearth. Our crown jewel in downtown. Mahogany panels glowing under crystal chandeliers. Jazz murmuring from hidden speakers. Family reconciliation. She texted. Emoji hearts that felt like barbs. I agreed. Heart a war drum. Dressed sharp. Charcoal dress. Necklace Samuel picked. Pearls whispering against my collarbone. Arrived early, pacing the foyer. Polished floors reflecting my silhouette like a stranger. They swept in at 7:15 a unit. Michelle sheepish in slacks. Eric radiant in navy silk that matched his eyes. Calculating eyes. Herbert, ruddy-cheeked in a blazer straining buttons. Barbara perched on his arm. Diamonds glinting like accusations. Lily and Ethan in tow, the boy tugging my sleeve with sticky fingers. Gamma! Up! I scooped him, burying my face in his curls, inhaling that sweet milk scent. A momentary shield, seated at the corner booth. Velvet cushions sighing under weight, candle flames dancing shadows on crystal. Appetizers arrived, bruschetta. Tomatoes bursting juicy on crusty bread. Balsamic drizzle dark as secrets. Small talk stuttered. Weather? Michelle's job at a marketing firm. Eric's consulting that smelled of Herbert's connections. Then the text. Phone vibrated against my thigh, insistent. Slipped it out under the table. Screen glow cold blue. Leave now. Don't say anything to your daughter. Unknown number. Pulse thundered in my ears. Fork pausing midair. Tines hovering over arugula. Who? Why? My mind raced. Prank? Threat? But the sender's intent? Clear as the wine pouring ruby into glasses. I pocketed it, hand trembling slightly, napkin absorbing the sweat. Across the table, Barbara leaned in. Voice honeyed venom. Tamara, this place is lovely, but sentimental, isn't it? Clinging to the past. Her fork speared a shrimp, tail curling like a question mark. Herbert chuckled, deep and dismissive, wiping his mouth with linen that cost more than my first truck. Indeed. Samuel always said you pushed too hard, Tamara. That last year, the finances. If you'd scaled back, perhaps... He trailed off, eyes flicking to Michelle, who shifted heel-scuffing carpet. Eric jumped in, hand on Michelle's knee, possessive. Daddy, Herbert's right. We worry about the kids. Exposure to instability. Samuel's passing, it was hard on everyone. But you, Tamara, running this solo, it's admirable, but maybe time to step back. Let Michelle handle things. We're stable, you see. Real estate's steady. No more risks. The words landed like slaps, each one stinging hotter. My jaw clenched, teeth grinding audible in the jazz hush. Internal storm, they think I'm the ruin? Me, who built this from scraps while they golfed and inherited. Samuel died fighting. Not from my risks, from a disease that doesn't give a damn about balance sheets. Vision tunneled, the booth walls closing, air thick with garlic and grudge. Michelle cleared her throat, eyes pleading. Guys, easy. Mom's done more than... But Eric overrode. Voice sharpening. Michelle, love, it's for the family. Tamara, we adore you, but the grandkids need security, not empire dreams that could crumble. Sign over your share to Michelle, under our guidance. Step aside, for them. The ultimate twist, wielding my love like a weapon. Heat flushed my neck, a vein pulsing at my temple. I set down the fork, deliberate, metal clinking glass like a gavel. The server hovered, my server trained in my kitchens, eyes flicking concern. And that's when I snapped. Not rage, cold fire. Samuel's voice echoed, invoke the legacy clause. I smiled, slow, the kind that doesn't reach eyes. Stable wealth, you say? Let's talk stability. What followed? The escalation that turned dinner into demolition. Signaled the manager, discreet nod, the one that meant private room. Now. He appeared seamless, mustache twitching apology. Ms. Wilson, if you'd follow, your reserved space awaits. They blinked, confused, Eric's brow furrowing. Herbert's fork midway to mouth, reserved. Tomorrow we booked the booth. Barbara huffed, pearls clicking as she rose. Chair scraping like nails on chalkboard. Oh, I know, I said, voice even, standing tall, Ethan's weight shifting to my hip. But this conversation deserves intimacy. The private room. Oak-paneled sanctum at the back. Fireplace crackling low, flames licking logs with greedy tongues. Table set for 6, but now laden heavier. Files, a tablet glowing, and a bottle of 82 Bordeaux, the label peeling slightly from age. A vintage Samuel and I cellared together. They filed in, murmurs rising. What's this about? From Michelle. Overkill much? From Eric. Seated again, tension coiling like smoke. I poured wine, glasses chiming fills, the liquids glug rhythmic. Handed one to each, Herbert sniffing disdain. Decent year. But I've better in the cellar. Ignorance. Thy name. Before we proceed, I started, leaning back. Leather creaking under me. A toast to family. To legacies, Clinks echoed, hesitant. Lily colored on butcher paper, crayon scratching oblivious. Then the reveal. Tablet slid across, screen alive with deeds. Digital ghosts of ownership. This building? Mine. The chain? Mine. That 82 Bordeaux you mock? From Samuel's private reserve. Cellared in my vaults. Pauses for absorption. Their faces shifting. Confusion to calculation. Eric's laugh tinkled, forced. Tamara, symbolic, but symbolic? I echoed, voice dropping octave, firelight casting my shadow long. No fact in Samuel's will. It has clauses for moments like this. The file opened, pages crisp, lawyer stamped. Read aloud, deliberate, each word a arrow. Should any family member seek to undermine Tamara Wilson's role as matriarch and steward, they forfeit access to familial assets, including properties, trusts, and visitation privileges. Gasps rippled. Barbara's hand to throat. Pearls strangling. Lies, Herbert blustered. Face modeling red, vein bulging forehead. Samuel wouldn't. He did, I cut. Tapping a notarized signature, ink bold as his spirit. Witnessed. And recorded. Because he knew, deep down, what stable really meant. Not money. Fight. Escalation peaked. Eric's eyes welled. Crocodile? Genuine? Voice shrill. This is extortion. Michelle, do something. Michelle, pale as the linen, stared at me, then them. Mom, is this true? None. Slow. Honey, I never wanted this. But they crossed. tried to erase me. From you. From Lily, Ethan. The kids froze, sensing storm, Lily's crayon halting mid-stroke. Herbert slammed fist, table shuddering, wine sloshing crimson. You bankrupt leech! Samuel died because of you, chasing glory while bills piled. We offered help and you... Help? My turn for heat. Chair shoving back, standing tower. Your help was judgment. Whispers that I failed him. But he chose me. Built with me. And this? Gesture encompassing room. The empire beyond walls. 58 million. Not inherited. Earned. While you flipped houses on daddies. Dime, Barbara interjected. Shrill. Vulgar. We demand nothing, I finished. Summoning security. 2 burly ex-cops. My hires filling doorway like sentinels. You're banned. All properties. Effective now. Chaos erupted. Eric screeching. You can't. The bill, our reservations? Realization dawned. No card swiped yet. The 40,118 tab. Lobster thermidor at 120 plate. The Bordeaux 800 apps. Dessert scripted but uneaten. Herbert fumbled wallet. Cards scattering like confetti. This is outrageous. We'll sue! Try, I said, calm as grave. Samuel's instructions. Legal fees from your share. Oh, wait, no share. Michelle rose. Torn, hand on my arm. Mom. Wait, but the die cast. Security escorted, polite but iron. Herbert sputtering curses. Barbara weeping histrionics. Eric hissing threats. Door click shut, final as a vault. Alone with Michelle, kids wide-eyed. Honey, I said, voice cracking first time. Hand on her shoulder. Fabric warm under palm. I love you. Them? They used you but family. It's choice. She nodded, slow, tears tracking. I see now. God, Mom. I'm sorry. Hug then, fierce, kids piling in. A tangle of limbs and forgiveness. The rain outside? Cleared moon silvering windows. But wait, that door click? It wasn't the end. Oh no. The real fireworks? They exploded in the lobby. Visible through the one-way glass I watched from the private room. Heart still hammering. A mix of triumph and nausea churning my gut like bad seafood. Security. Big. Jim with his buzz cut and tattooed forearms. And Lena. Sharp-eyed ex-Marine. Flanked them as they stormed out. Not escorted so much as herded. The lobby buzzed with diners. Couples mid-whisper. Families toasting anniversaries. The jazz sax wailing a sultry note that now sounded mocking. Herbert led the charge, face purple as overripe plum, bellowing, "This is theft! Call the cops, now!" Jim's voice gravel low. "Sir," calm. Ms. Wilson's within rights. "Pay the bill or we call authorities for refusal," Barbara wailed. A theatrical keen that turned heads, pearls swinging like a noose as she clutched the hostess stand, nails clawing Formica. My son, grandchildren ruined by this. "This ingrate!" Eric, composure cracking, whipped out his phone, fingers flying, voice a hiss. I'm live tweeting this. "A family betrayal, restaurant scam, world will know." Diners murmured, phones rising like periscopes. A young couple at the bar gawked. The man's arm around his date tightening protectively. An older lady, regular, knew Samuel, muttered, "Wilsons?" "Never thought, Michelle." Still with me, pressed to the glass. Breath fogging. "Mom, they're destroying you out there." But destruction? Nah, catharsis. I watched. Wineglass stem cool between fingers. The Bordeaux's aftertaste tannic on tongue. Internal roar. Let 'em squawk. They've pecked for years, now choke on feathers. The bill presented, leather folder. Elegant script. $4 to 1847. Herbert snatched it. Flipping pages, eyes bulging. 4,000? For shrimp and spite? Lena, arms crossed. "Full menu, sir." Plus corkage attempt on the 82, declined. Eric snatched the folder. Scanning. "This is fabricated." "We barely ate." "Barely," I echoed from afar. But aloud in my mind, a chuckle bubbling dark. Barely, but enough to sink. Herbert's cards. Amex. Visa. Declined one by one. Machine beeping rejection like laughter. Sweat beaded his brow, shirt darkening pits. "Impossible!" "My limits overdrawn?" Barbara gasped, fanning herself with menu, paper crinkling frantic. "Herbert, you promised, after the yacht share." "Yacht." The word twisted. While Samuel fought, they yachted. Rage flickered, but I banked it. Savoring, Eric tried his card, gold-edged. Daddy's shadow. Beep. Denied. His face drained, lips paling. What? This can't... Michelle burst from the room then, me trailing, kids in arms. Enough! Her voice cracked lobby-wide, echoing off marble. Mom, Dad, stop. It's true. All of it! Heads turned sharper. Eric whirled, eyes wild. Michelle, don't... I am, she snapped. Stepping forward, chest heaving. You've poisoned us against Mom for years. Unstable. Risky. But look, she built this. Saved us when you nitpicked. Herbert puffed. Finger jabbing. Girl, we protected you. From her delusions. Delusions? Michelle laughed bitter, echoing my own buried laughs. 58 million. Ownership. Dad's will. He trusted her. Barbara crumpled then. Theatrical swoon into a banquette. My heart. Call 911. Jim radioed, calm. Ma'am, breathe. Or we do. But the real collapse. Eric's. He backed against a pillar. Phone slipping. Clattering tile. You own it all. The building? We mocked the wine. Called it quaint. Quaint. Their word over appetizers. Barbara sniffing. Charming. But no Lafitte. I stepped forward now. Circle closing, diners a silent jury. Mocked the legacy. Samuel's legacy. The one you said I squandered. His eyes met mine. Naked. Stripped of veneer. Fear? Regret? Tamara, please. The kids, they need truth. I said, voice steel-wrapped velvet. Handed the folder back. Pay or walk. Silence stretched, taut as bowstring. Herbert fumbled cash. Crumpled hundreds from wallet. Counting slow, fingers shaking like aspen leaves. $4,000, $4,200, short by 1847. The pennies? Symbolic. Keep the change, he growled, thrusting the wad at Lena, who counted impassive. Eric grabbed his arm, hissing, Daddy, fight, no more, Michelle said, final. Go and stay gone. Security ushered, doors swinging open to night air crisp, rain scented. Herbert's parting shot over shoulder. You'll regret this, Tamara. Family's blood. Blood? I called, voice carrying. You bled us dry with doubts. This closure, doors shut. Silence imploded, then applause. Scattered at first, the older lady clapping fierce, then spreading, a wave. The young couple whooped, Hell yeah! Michelle hugged me, trembling. Mom. I didn't know. The text, who? I pulled the phone, dialing the unknown number. Rang once. Answered Samuel's lawyer, voice wry. Tamara? You invoke? Did. Thanks for the nudge. He chuckled. His instructions. If they push back. Triumph wash then. Relief flooding limbs. Heavy as undone chains. Validation. Sweet as the Bordeaux. Not just money. Samuel's echo. Justice's bomb. But the night? It rippled. Social media lit. Wilson's revenge trending local. Posts praising the grandma who owned the room. Eric's tweet? Backlash. Karma's a bill. Comments jeered. Next days? Herbert called, groveling voicemail. Tamara, mistake. Let's talk trusts. Deleted. Barbara's flowers, wilted apology. Trash, Eric. Tried cornering Michelle at work, tears streaming. She humiliated us. For what? Pride? Principle, she replied, per text she shared. And love. Real kind. Grandkids? Unfettered now. Weekends mine. Lily's tea parties in the garden. Ethan's block towers toppling to giggles. No shadows. The Empire. Sword. New location announced. Named Samuel's Hearth. Reviews. Soul restored. And me? Lighter. Scars remain. Betrayal's brand. But healed by fire. Revenge? Not spite. Reckoning. Earned in sweat. Sealed in Samuel's ink. Stories like this remind us. Justice isn't always swift, but when it lands, it's poetry. Underdogs rise, betrayers fall, and karma, she keeps impeccable receipts. What would you have done in Tamara's shoes? Ponder that. Who? If that didn't give you goosebumps and a fist pump, check your pulse. Smash that like button if Tamara's takedown hit home. Drop a comment. What's the sweetest revenge you've pulled or seen? Share your stories, we read them all. And subscribe, bell on, for more raw, real tales of payback and power. Thanks for writing this one with me. See you next time.